So, last class we discussed about characteristics and challenges of distributed systems. So, there are 6 important characteristics. Number 1 is resource sharing, second is openness, third is concurrency, fourth is scalability, fifth is fault tolerance, sixth is transparency. I think each of these terms is very clear to everybody, and if majority of these characteristics are satisfied by any kind of system, we call it as a distributed system, right? And there is no any hard definitions of distributed system till today. We have to agree upon certain concepts to define a distributed system. Our authors claim that there are some restricted definitions and there are some unrestricted definitions. I think unrestricted definition means a set of processes connected, they should be able to communicate to each other in a distributed system. That is the most unrestricted. You can take any system where it deals with set of processes. In another restricted definition, we will confine into a set of computers, autonomous computers. They are connected by a communication network by which the communication can take place, right? But the kind of distributed system we are discussing, they are basically message passing distributed systems, not the shared memory distributed system. What is message passing distributed system? If a node wants to communicate with another node in a distributed system, that node has to prepare a message, and that message is to be propagated, transferred via a communication network. There is no direct way of communicating between two devices, right? And these messages which will be floating or which will be propagated in a communication network will be received by the receiver node. This is called a message passing system. Unlike a shared memory system where the node 1 will write, there will be a common memory, the node 1 will write something and node 2 will read that content, location content, right. So, it is basically a message passing distributed system. Then we shall see what are the different applications of distributed systems. And why I am stressing on applications, because as I told you, many of you have shown interest for developing projects on distributed systems. So, if you know the application domain of distributed system, it will be useful for developing the project on distributed systems. Number 1, finance and commerce. Example, e-commerce like Amazon, eBay, Flipkart and so many. So, this is Amazon, eBay, Flipkart are the best examples of distributed systems where you can do all online transactions. The items can be bought or sold and the money can be also transacted. So, all these are the examples of the finance and commercial applications. Or we can say online banking system is a distributed system. So, whenever I tell online banking system, it includes hardware as well as the software plus applications. What are the hardware? We have a set of servers, set of client machines, set of terminals, set of printers or any kind of other devices which are used by the bank. They constitute the hardware of the distributed system. And software, what are the software? We have the operating system. We may have a local operating system for each node, or you can have a global operating system for which will be floating on the top of this OS, and several applications. As you know, there are several banking apps nowadays available. So, they are all the apps or applications. Therefore, this is a full-fledged distributed system. Then second type of application, that is information society. Example, search engines, Wikipedia, Twitter, Facebook, WhatsApp, etc. So, these are the distributed systems which are coming under information society. As you know how they are popular nowadays, right? Search engines, your Yahoo, Google, etc. So, they are the search engines. By using this distributed system, we can access any resource in the world. And example is also www. World Wide Web is a distributed system, but HTTPS is not a distributed system. HTTP or HTTPS, they are not the distributed system, they are the protocols, networking protocols. So, try to understand the difference. The moment I said www, it is a distributed system because it constitutes the hardware, software as well as the applications, and they are so integrated each other that user feels I am accessing the entire resource by sitting at a single place, or it provides a single system image view, SSI property. Then third is creative industry and entertainment. Example, online gaming, online music, YouTube channel, etc. So, multiple persons at a time can play a game, okay? Sitting at various places, sitting at various distant places, so they can play a game. So, that is also one type of example of distributed systems. Then next application is, so comparatively this healthcare distributed systems, healthcare applications are very novel, or they are not mature, unlike Facebook, WhatsApp. That other three applications whatever I told you, they are somehow existing in a very successful manner in society, but these healthcare applications are not available because of again a number of reasons that I am not going to discuss here, but why it is not popular till today. I will just give an example. Suppose if I tell how many people for a particular state suffers from diabetes, can you find out? This data is not available, right? So, when the healthcare distributed system will be matured enough, I think we will be able to find these informations, but still it is a distributed system. Again, you can find out what are the different hardware units, and nowadays in the healthcare we have several IoT devices also that constitute a part of the hardware in distributed system. Then fifth application, education. Nowadays, due to e-learning facility, you may be at a distant place, you can take a course like your NPTEL and MOOC courses. So, you can take a number of courses. So, this is also an application in education. Then 6 is transport and logistics. Also we have distributed system applications like a GPS system. Suppose you are in a city at a particular place, you can identify yourself the location at which you are with the help of a GPS system. For that we need to access several resources for getting this information, and Google also one example, and best example the latest distributed system which are going to be very popular within 2 to 3 years, a VANET, vehicular ad hoc network. So, we shall assume that the entire computing system, a single node, can be present at every vehicle in a smart city, and all the vehicles will be connected by a communication network such that any vehicle wants to communicate with another vehicle, they will be able to communicate via that network. Am I clear? So, now the node now will be replaced by a vehicle, and inside the vehicle we can have a processor, we can have a small memory, and we can have set of IO devices, and of course we must have transceiver logic where you can transmit and receive the data. A vehicle can transmit the data, other vehicle can receive, and all these units, processor, memory and IO ports and transceiver logic, can be placed in a PCB, printed circuit board. Everything can be placed in a single board that we call on-board unit, right. So, this on-board unit is the electronics unit which is placed or sitting inside a vehicle. You can take a two-wheeler or four-wheeler, whatever it may be. Okay. So, this on-board unit is placed inside the vehicle, and in the entire city areas we can place some switches, and every switch is just like a computer having a processor, memory, IO, transceiver, but it will act as a switch. Why it is switch? Because it will be acting as a relay node. that if a vehicle wants to communicate with a farthest vehicle, or a vehicle is not finding any other vehicle in its nearby places, then it can contact with a switch, and that switch is called RSU, roadside unit. Just like your electric pole, telephone pole, we can put the roadside unit pole where a full-fledged computer will be sitting there. So, in one hand we have a onboard unit inside a vehicle, and we have a roadside unit at various places in the city. Now think of a situation, OBU is a node, RSU is a node, and assume that we have multiple RSUs and multiple OBUs. Now they can form a network, and when they form a network, that is a very temporary network, all we call a ad hoc network, because there is no other infrastructure available except OBU and RSU. Therefore, it is an ad hoc network. Unlike a base station, we have a tower is there for a mobile communication. So, mobile communication, they are not ad hoc network, they are infrastructure based network. I am talking about infrastructure less network. So, there is no infrastructure to allow the communication, only communication is possible among the nodes. So, if a node wants to communicate with another node, but the range between the distance between two nodes is very high, it may so happen it can take the help of another node, intermediate node, that itself another vehicle. Am I clear? So, this type of network is called ad hoc network, and if the node is particularly automobile, a two-wheeler or three-wheeler or four-wheeler or a flight, then we call it as a VANET, vehicular ad hoc network. Now, this is the, I told the hardware part. Now, find out a particular operating system which will be able to manage the VANET, and the operating system which you are using here, Windows, Linux, they will not be sufficient. We should go for a new kind of operating system which will be controlling these vehicles. And similarly, we should go for a new kind of networking protocols and standards for managing these nodes. So, this VANET, which is an ad hoc network, is the next generation technology, or it is almost in the mature state to be released, and it will be useful for the smart cities, right. So, the important property is that the moment the vehicles start moving on a smart city, they are all the vehicles which are active at a particular time t, they will be connecting each other by an ad hoc network. In the next moment, if some vehicles is going away from the network, then similarly another topology can be formed. So, the topology that is formed is very dynamic in nature, because when the vehicles will come and when the vehicles will go and when they will be out of range, that is very difficult to track. And in such situation, this ad hoc networks will be very much useful. And another example of ad hoc network is that whenever any natural disaster occurs, no infrastructure will be there. So, how the communication will take place? So, this ad hoc network can be useful on that time. So, okay. So, this ad hoc network will be very much applicable for rescue or surveillance applications. Suppose a natural disaster occurs and infrastructure is not there and you want to have communication. So, let us deploy some of the nodes instantly, and after deployment they will form an ad hoc network temporarily, and whenever you want to allow the communication, they can communicate each other. That is the best example of ad hoc network, and this ad hoc network very much useful for allowing a number of applications. Like suppose a patient is there somewhere and an ambulance is here and hospital is here. If a patient wants to catch the ambulance to go to hospital, what he has to do? The patient will catch the nearest ambulance which is available in the smart city. There may be hundreds of ambulances, there may be thousands of patients, there may be some tens or twenties of hospitals in a city. So, these communications will be very fast if you are using a ad hoc network. Am I clear? The moment patient wants, immediately it can find out where is the nearest ambulance, so that the patient can reach to the hospital. So, this is one applications. So, like this ad hoc network has lot of applications, not only smart cities, even some human inaccessible and hostile regions. For example, inside a sea, 20 or hundreds of kilometers from the sea bank. If you go there, if you want to do some kind of work, then you can deploy these nodes there. So, a lot of applications are there for the ad hoc network, and we shall not discuss because this is itself a subject, mobile ad hoc network, or ad hoc network is itself a course. So, next application is science. So, you know that if you want to collaborate any scientific project for predicting weather or predicting the currency, whatever it may be, so we need a large computational power which will not be available on a local machine or on a local area network. And if you want to hire very highly computational intensive machines which are at a distant place, it is possible with the help of a distributed system, right. So, that is the again one important applications of distributed system. 8. Environment management. You know that nowadays how the pollution is increasing, and major pollutants if you see carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide, temperature, humidity, etc. And these, to measure these parameters, we have different IoT products, or we have a number of sensors and actuators. These sensors and actuators, they can be connected each other to form a distributed system. At any point of time t, if you want to find out what is the temperature at a particular location, we will be able to find out. That is called environmental management. Not only detection, with the help of actuation task, you can also reduce to certain extent, or you can take some corrective measures for this, right. So, these applications whatever I told you, these are the commonly used applications, but still there are some specialized applications where distributed systems has become also popular. I will just give another example where a distributed system is very important, but still there is a doubt whether it is a distributed system or not, a special kind of application. So, this can be also an example of a distributed system. So, this is very clear, the figure is I think very clear. So, it is a flight or aircraft, right. You can see in the top of the aircraft there is a wire. It is of course a wired distributed system, it is not a wireless distributed system. Distributed system can be broadly categorized in two ways, one is a wired distributed system, another is wireless, or another can be a hybrid distributed system, wired as well as the wireless. So, here these square nodes, these are the nodes same as whatever we have defined in distributed system, and every node is a processing resource, and there can be a small amount of memory and some IO ports also. And these circle nodes, these are the sensors or actuators. Now, these sensors and actuators, they can be connected with the processing resources with the help of a communication network. Topology is a bus, and one standard is ARNIC 629 data bus. And the same thing if you see for a car or automobile in a smart city, they are operated with a bus. It is also bus topology, CAN. CAN stands for Controller Area Network, right. So, instead of telling distributed system, the people call it a distributed embedded system, and since it is a safety critical application, it is a safety critical system, therefore, we can say a real time distributed system. This can be the best example for a real time safety critical distributed system, where if something happens to this flight, a huge amount of cost is lost, lot of lives of lot of passengers lost. Therefore, it is a safety critical application. And why it is a distributed system? Because it consists of several nodes along with the sensors and actuators, and there is a bus protocol. Here it is 629 data bus, but for automobiles it is called control area network, right. And there must be an operating system, and there are several applications. Some of the applications will be used by the pilots who are sitting at the front, and some of the applications will be used by the radar control sites at the airport, and the communication is going on. Am I clear? So, this can be also a distributed system, but it is a special kind of distributed system. Its application domain is very much confined to a flight, and the people call in the research domain FBW system, fly by wire, because it is a wire distributed system. Now, if I say a automobile in a smart city, that is also connected connecting a number of processing resources, sensors and actuators, and I can say steer by wire. For example, the entire steering of a car can be controlled electronically with the help of a distributed system. We call it a steer by wire system. Even if the brake is controlled or monitored by a distributed system, we will say BBW, that is brake by wire. So, fly by wire, steer by wire, brake by wire, like this we can have several kind of specialized distributed systems which are applicable in various safety critical applications. A car can be a safety critical application, and it can many way help the driver, passengers and the persons pedestrians who are moving on the road to prevent from various accidents. Suppose driver is not the driver's attention is not proper, so this distributed system will help the driver to drive the vehicle in a smoother way. Okay, now the details I am not going, I am just telling that what is the distributed system domain. You can see the most restricted definition is here. Here the process concepts are very less because it is confined to only hardware. Hardware is more, software is less. But if you go to the top domain like a banking system, their software is more, hardware is less. If you take internet based distributed systems, VANET based distributed systems, so their hardware will be less, software will be more. So, what exactly I want to say, in one way we are claiming that this is a distributed system, but it is a special kind. In another way, the online banking system is a distributed system, so which also spans throughout the world. Now, with the help of online banking system, you can transact money in any bank, isn't it? You can withdraw money from any bank by staying at any place. So, this is all because of the distributed systems. Am I clear? So, this is how the distributed system spans from a very specialized applications like this fly-by-wire system or distributed embedded system, or we call real-time system, real-time distributed systems, to a very large distributed systems like online banking systems, including the satellite communication system, cloud computing systems, edge computing systems and fog computing systems. So, they are the more broader kind of distributed system and large and complex distributed systems. I will just give an example. Suppose this processor wants to communicate with this processor 1 and processor 2, right. So, processor 1 wants to communicate with the processor 2. So, there is a bus protocol and there is a link available and they can communicate like this. Now, think of a situation if I say this node will communicate to a satellite and which is a part of cloud. Now, this will communicate with processor 2 and assume that the speed of data transfer is more via cloud as compared to directly communicating using a wire, and there is a chance that this link can be breaked because of the wire, but since it is a wireless link via satellite and cloud, there is no chance of failure. Am I clear? So, the communication can be via leased service of cloud lines or cloud computing systems, or they can be directly communicating each other with the help of a wire communication under certain protocols like control area network protocol used for the automobiles in smart cities and 629 data bus. Likewise, you will find several protocol standards for communication among processing resources inside a flight system. And the moment I say flight, it includes your rocket. Rocket also has similar kind of system, right, and it also includes helicopters and it also includes drones. Nowadays, you can see that a number of types of drones are available in the market, right. So drones, helicopters, rockets, or any kind of aircrafts which are used for the battlefield, military. So they are also having similar features, having set of sensors, actuators and processors. And with the help of some real-time applications and protocol standards, it is possible to establish a distributed system, right. So, but we shall exclude these kind of distributed systems from our discussion. Why? Because we want to focus on the inter-process, wherever the inter-process communication is more important, those type of distributed systems are important for us. That's why I am telling, these are the specialized distributed systems, and specifically the people call it is distributed embedded systems. But if you say online banking system, all other applications what I have listed down, so they are the kind of distributed systems which we will be covering in the syllabus. These things, real-time systems, embedded systems, they are the full-fledged separate subjects, courses available already. So we shall focus on the only distributed systems. So then now I think we will be able to answer a question, why distributed systems, why not centralized systems, right? So, okay. See, why distributed systems? So every application is a part of the business model. Nowadays everything is business. As you take education, healthcare, anything in the world if you take is a business model, right. And if it is a business model, every component of this business model must work together for success of that business, right. So one part is sales, sales is a component, payables, some amounts are to be paid for the sales, and accounting, you have to keep track how many items sold per day and what kind of business you transacted on that day. And manufacturing, some products are manufactured. I am telling in general, you take any application, there must be sales, payables, accounting, manufacturing, shipping or receiving, engineering, inventory, and management of each of these components are nothing but management of a business model. So therefore, a distributed system is required. What I am telling, why do we need a distributed system? And the basic motivating factor is this, that most of the problems in the world today are nothing but a business, confined to a business model, and that business model, each component of that business model must work together. I mean that sales must be coordinated with the payables, accounting, everything must be coordinated. Each and every activity must be kept track and coordinated, right, or synchronized. So right. So in order to achieve this business model, what you have to do? So you have to network all these components, number one. Then you have to check the heterogeneity, and you have to allow the communication, right. So this, due to the demand of networking and to deal with the heterogeneity or incompatibilities, so in software as well as hardware, and due to requirement of communication, we need a distributed system. Fault tolerance, right. So these are the requirements of distributed system. Security and reliability, already I have told you, most of the resources are going to be open, therefore you should have a security model. And what are the existing security models, that we will be discussing when we will go to the security chapter. Then the reliability is required. Why? Because if you want to get a service, unless it is reliable, you cannot get the service. So reliability must be maintained, and how it is possible, that is the course of study. How to achieve reliability, how to achieve security, okay. Then how to achieve consistency. What is the consistency? Suppose 2 plus 3 equal to 5, every time it should show 5, not 6. So consistency should be maintained. Then replicated data. For example, a variable x, now it is 5, next time it is 6. So if it is 6 or 7 or 5 or 4, that you have to give a guarantee. That is the consistency of replicated data. Then concurrent transaction. Since it is a distributed system, we should take the advantage of it. So many tasks will try to perform concurrently. with respect to a duration. As I told you, always concurrent means with respect to a duration, not at a particular time instant. Then fault tolerance. Since distributed systems are large as compared to centralized systems, there is every chance that as the time goes, some components may be faulty. Suppose there are 1000 components, there is every chance that some 10 components will be faulty after 1 year or after 2 years. And if even the fault is there in the system, is it possible to is it possible to get the service? Can you tolerate the fault and get the service? That is called fault tolerance. So, how to achieve this fault tolerance? That depends upon type of failure model or fault model. So, what is a failure model or fault model? So, failure model or fault model to achieve fault tolerance defines and classifies various types of faults. What are the possible types of faults? That will be defined by the fault model or the way the node behaves when the fault occurs. For example, if a person is suffering from fever, its symptom is different, temperature will be high. If a person is suffering from some other diseases, all the symptoms are different, and therefore the fault model will define what kind of faults is there, or it will define the behavior of the component when the fault occurs, and this is different from the causes of the fault. Remember, this is different from the causes of fault. I will just briefly tell what are the different types of faults that can occur in a distributed system. Okay, so the first type is fail stop. That means if a component is faulty, the other processes can detect that the process is faulty, right? For example, this is the node 1, node 2. So, if the node 1 is faulty, node 2 will be able to know it, and once the node 1 N1 is faulty, it will stop working. Fail stop model. I am telling you how the node behaves when a fault occurs. So, when a fault occurs in a component, this node fails means stops working. Am I clear? And other nodes, they will be able to know that this node is faulty. And in contrast to fail stop, we have a crash fault, where the node fails and stops, but others will not be able to know that this node is faulty. So, can I say, to make it simplified, that in fail stop, the node is faulty, but it is able to communicate, so that others are knowing that this is faulty. Am I clear? But in a crash fault, the node is faulty but not able to communicate, not able to respond. So, there is no response from a crash fault. But in a fail stop, there is a response, but the node is not working. Because unless you get the response, because anything happens in a distributed system only by remember, only by exchanging the messages, nothing else. You do anything on a distributed system, it is only possible by exchanging the messages, because it is a machine, it is not a human being. So, if the message exchange is not possible, then how to know that this node is faulty or fault free? So, message exchange is the only means for communication in a distributed system. And how to exchange the messages, what are the different protocols, that we shall see afterwards. But just to give a hint about the message exchange protocols, I think I have already told you R, RR, RRA. For example, node 1 wants to communicate with a node 2. Node 1 will simply send a request message, that is all. And node 1 is not bothered whether node 2 is receiving or not. It will just send a message. Assuming that there is a 100% reliability, that node 2 is working and the communication link is working. That is one protocol. Second protocol I am telling, when the node 1 is sending a request message, it is also expecting a reply message, or it is trying to confirm that the whatever the message it has sent, it is going to receive. It has reached properly to the node 2. Am I clear? This protocol is called request reply. Now think of a situation, the node N1 is sending a request message and receiving a reply message. Again it is sending an acknowledgement message to the reply. You may be thinking that why this protocol is necessary. Node N1 is sending a request message and this message whether reached or not, a reply message is being sent from N2 to N1. Now to confirm whether the reply message has reached or not to N1, N1 will send an acknowledgement to N2. So that means this is a protocol which deals with 3 messages, and RR protocol deals with 2 messages, and R protocol deals with 1 message. So which is better? These are 3 standard protocols available in distributed system. We shall again discuss this, how these protocols are costly sometimes, and how these protocols are also sometimes very loose in definition. So which is better? How to know? Can I say that R is better? See, in the R, if I take, it may be simple, but the cost of this protocol will be very less. That is also correct, but reliability of this message is very less, because we do not have any way to check whether our message has reached to destination or not. But if you say take RRA, request reply acknowledgement, this is the most robust protocol. Okay, we shall discuss more about this, because this RRR and RRA has a number of variant protocols also, that we shall discuss afterwards. What exactly I want to tell, that in a fail stop model, a process is, if it is faulty, that other processes will be able to know because of the communication, because by exchanging the messages. But in a crash, other process cannot detect that this node is faulty. Then another is omission fault. Fourth is arbitrary fault, and fifth is timing fault. So here in the omission fault, the node has sent the message, but it never reaches to the destination. It happens in the your packet forwarding communication. You will be sending the packet, but there is no guarantee that your packet will reach at the destination or not. This kind of fault is called omission fault. And what is arbitrary fault? We cannot guess what kind of fault it is. The node or the components can behave arbitrarily, right? And what is timing fault? If you are sending a message and that message reaches in a, with a delay which is not tolerable. For example, you want to catch a flight, and the flight is at 8 o'clock, and you reached at 8:30. Got it? So that is a delayed fault, time fault. So this timing failure can be further divided into transient, intermittent, and Byzantine. What is transient? This transient fault, suppose the system is working like this, all of a sudden at some point of time instant t, the system will be faulty. And once the fault occurs in that system, the system can automatically recover from it, or if the fault persists for a longer time, it becomes a crash fault. Am I clear? So when the fault occurs in the system will be faulty for a fraction of time. Let us take in second. And if the fault, due to that faulty, if the system component is completely damaged, it will be converted to a crash fault. And if it is recovering from that failure, it will again keep on working without any fault. Can you give a real life example? Anybody? I told the behavior of the fault. If a fault occurs in a system, that no system can be faulty, can be permanently faulty leading to crash fault, or if it recovers from that failure, it will keep on working without any problem. Can anybody give an example? Any real life example? A situation you can say. Example is lightning in the rainy season. You can see that your TV is working, and due to lightning, some of the TVs will be completely damaged, or some of the TVs will be interrupted for a fraction of time, but will continue to provide the service. So that is called transient fault. So what is intermittent fault? The node is working now, after some time it will not be working, again it will be working, not working, working, not working, but this duration of working and non-working is not constant. 5 minutes is working, 2 minutes is not working, 10 minutes is working, 1 minute is not working, right? That is called intermittent fault. And a Byzantine fault is something similar to an arbitrary fault. We cannot predict at what time the system will be faulty. And if fault occurs, what kind of damage it is going to do to the system. That is called very arbitrary in nature. So detecting all these types of faults is really a challenging task. So this is how just I am telling about the fault models, how to detect them, and how to develop the algorithms, distributed algorithms for fault detection, fault diagnosis, fault recovery, fault isolation, fault repair. Yes. So, we have different types of distributed systems algorithms for fault detection. Again I am telling, these are the only fault models, and for each of the model we will try to develop the fault detection algorithm, and I will tell what is the difference between fault detection and fault diagnosis, then fault recovery, fault isolation, fault containment, fault repair. In this distributed system scenario, repair and recovery are different. Am I clear?